Land at that part of democracy. That's MOCK. It's Friday night and we're doing it right. There's only one way we know how to do it, and that's the fuck 'em fam way. Normally we'd have 3 random topics, but tonight we have a very, very special topic. Our mighty librarian is going to take us through a dissertation she did, and it's going to tie up with what we discussed in last week's episode. So, y'all ready to meet the gang? Oh, shit. How's everybody out there in Radio Land? It's Friday night. How's everybody doing? Oh, my Lord.
It's a full moon out tonight, too.
Friday the 13th. So, moving on to immediately diving on in, because good Lord, we can tie this into what we were talking about last week with this organic class consciousness that happens to be forming. We really didn't see it happening, really didn't expect it to happen, but it is. And we couldn't have made it happen with a million years of messaging. And I'm going to just go ahead and turn things over to our mighty librarian and let her tell us about this piece that she wrote on her Substack. Take it away.
Well, cool. So, yeah, dissertation, I guess, describes it well. I didn't mean for it to get this long, but, I felt like it needed, I feel like it needed everything, and then I could always break it down into parts later. But, it was kind of like I needed to throw up everything, and then, we could make, mini sections later. But I just felt like I needed to add everything into it. And, once it started taking way longer than I thought it would. Once I was invested. So basically, I wanted to talk about why this really went the way it did, as far as media coverage, and I guess you could say independent media coverage. And I also wanted to talk about the opportunity Democrats had with this in a few different ways that I don't think a lot of people, and probably definitely not leadership, was thinking about. But one of the things that really kind of bothered me was, of course, it's not okay to advocate for violence, or it's not okay to, solve problems like this. And I think most people who feel the way that I think a lot of us do towards the incident, wouldn't want this to happen, but at the same time, not going to shed a tear over it either, because you can only push the average Joe so far before they snap. And average Joes have different snapping points. Some a little bit, is a little bit easier than others, but there just comes a point when enough's enough, and someone experiences too much greed. Now, again, I'll say I don't condone it, but at the same time, I understand it. So part of what I wanted to talk about was this condemnation, especially of, I guess you could, for lack of a better word, the elite class. And I'm not just talking about even wealthy elites, the pundits who feel like they're the gatekeepers of information and only their opinions matter. And, they don't remember what it's like to not have the money to pay a medical bill. And they don't remember what it's like to be suffocated by massive debt, medical debt, just life suffocating you. And I'm not saying their lives are easy, but money solves a lot of problems. You can throw money at a lot of problems. So I didn't appreciate, especially when Ben Shapiro went on this rant and shamed his audience, everybody who feels this frustration towards the system. And I wanted to talk about that because, one, I think this is what liberals looked like when we would have our freakouts and meltdowns over culture war issues. And in my Substack, I make this admission too. I was completely guilty of it too, thinking that's how we needed to fight this war. And clearly that's not the way to fight it, because it didn't work. We weren't the only ones fighting the war like that. Lots of people, with like millions of people as an audience. So what I saw from Ben Shapiro's rant was kind of how liberals freak out and take the bait. So I'm getting to my Substack, so just bear with me. So
by all means, take all the time you need to set this up.
So essentially what is really behind this article is kind of just talking about why Ben Shapiro's audience freaked out the way they did. But more importantly, what Democrats, the left, can really glean from this. Because I think that if we're smart, and especially DNC, politicians, if they're smart and I hope to God they are a little smart and somebody's coming out to be the leader, because it'll take leadership to pull this kind of thing off, is to look for these moments when the right completely insults their audience and you see a break in the armor. And kind of point out, see, they don't respect you. And find out where those instances when the audience is just calling these far right influencers out. And if you read in the Substack, I have a few screenshots, but I'm sure everybody's seen the screenshots of the comments. But we need to find issues like this, not necessarily somebody getting murdered, obviously, but really find these issues and opportunities where the right fucks up and we can pull, pivot like they do on, and maybe even throw bait at them so that they freak out. But now I really opened my eyes to why it turned people off when, the left would have our culture war rhetoric and it didn't work, because a lot of times it sounded completely condescending. And keep in mind, I realized that it was most of us who use this type of rhetoric had the best of intentions, but I kind of saw where it went wrong through Ben Shapiro's backfire rant. And that's really kind of what I noted, is why people were so offended by this, and kind of point out the mirror of where the left went wrong. And basically go ahead.
I was just going to, I was completely listening with everything you were saying. And I wanted to just say that not only did I agree with you, but it was absolutely freakishly strange to see in the comments, pretty much the left and the right are hugging it out, in the comments against Ben Shapiro, especially when, of all the people, the most easily duped ones are saying, we're starting to realize that your entire model depends on us hating each other.
Yeah. And maybe we should also and I don't know if this can organically happen or if we can find ways for them to take the bait, but just because that's really the only way we get these people out of the MAGA mindset, is to let them see for themselves a lot of, and come to the conclusion. And I've been just saying, in multiple forums, how do you it's a monumental task, but maybe it's not. You know, I don't really have any answers on how you make this happen, but I think that this was and you know what, the break in the armor might heal itself, but oh yeah, Vix, go. Sorry.
I have an idea. You find whatever your MAGA relative, friend, what have you, their like hot button issue was. Follow that issue. Whatever happens with it, hold their hand on the stove and say, is this what you wanted to happen with your vote? Because this is what is happening. You decided that you needed to go to the School of Hard Knocks instead of learning your lessons from history books and your friends that were trying to warn you because we cared about it. But now since you insist on touching the stove, we're fucking holding it on there because it doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone. And the most vulnerable among us disproportionately.
So here's the thing with that.
No, that's a good point.
They were never serious about what their hot button issue was. They just jumped from one to the other whenever it was convenient.
No, whatever Russia told them to use.
Yeah, you don't know what they actually care about because they just keep skipping. And
it's ketchup. It's ketchup. It's just the vehicle that they use to eat their ketchup. It's just what they put their ketchup on.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's what vehicle holds their hate at the moment. It's just what they put their hate on.
As you were saying, Allison, with the best way to continue with this crack in the armor.
Oh, I don't really have a definitive answer, but I think looking at what really pissed off Ben's audience kind of gives us an idea of what not to do, but also how we pissed off voters that because like Kamala Harris, like obviously lost, but a lot of people voted for Trump and then Democrats down ballot. So could it have been racism and misogyny? Yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of that. But there was also, a lot of, focus group, and we could see this kind of happening in the polling. Now, had she had more time, she might have been able to convince more people. There's a lot of factors that is hard to really nail why she lost. We have a few ideas, but I think any pundit who tells us Kamala lost because of this or Kamala lost because of that, we don't actually know because there's just too many factors to measure. I think all of the above is why she didn't get elected, but we can also see some issues of what people have said in focus groups, and how, like, for example, the left, was trying to say Trump is a threat to our democracy. And of course he is. He is absolutely a threat to democracy. The big, however, is that people don't understand what that means. It's abstract thought. So, like, obviously we understand it, but we also have to meet where most of the voters are. And even Dr. Rachel Bidikofer says, like, if you follow Google trending, politics is rarely breaks through to the top 10, nevertheless the top 3. So we kind of had to be more specific, but less, I guess, what's the word? Seeming overblown, because what Trump did, and he did it beautifully, is that what he did was he would say something stupid. The left gets, oh my God, Trump said this, blah, blah, blah. Trump said this, blah, blah, blah. And then essentially what Trump was doing was making us take the bait. So then he wouldn't do what he said he did. And then he could be like, look, the liberals, they're liars. You can't trust them. They said I would do this. And look, I didn't do it. And then he'd go to the right and tell them some bullshit. And he would do just enough to not do it, but make it look like he did, like the wall. He did just enough took just enough pictures to make it look like he had accomplished something. But if you do just a little bit of research, which most people don't do, he didn't do, he built like something absurd, like barely even a mile, if that, a fence.
I think it was like 40 miles.
Anyway. Yeah, it was something absurd. Like, and I think it was getting replaced anyway. So there, things like that are a lot of the reason why, that helped turn voters off. And like, we prioritized like the danger to democracy, which is kind of abstract, over economic factors. And even though we know the economy was rebounding really well, that still didn't mean everybody felt it. Mm-hmm. And I think some people are full of shit, to be honest. Like, if you're going on a vacation, you're not doing that bad. If you're going,
It's 20 past the hour somewhere.
You got him. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Sorry about that.
I want to skip, since you brought this up, I want to read this one comment here from, it's the third one down. It says, "You're wrong, Ben. I'm that evil leftist you always rage about. I have an uncle who is as conservative as they come, voted for Trump and everything. We have very little in common and avoid each other at holiday parties. I can tell you we both wept when my dad slowly died of cancer, while the insurance he paid for did not help him."
Yeah. And I think we've missed a moment of, everybody has somebody who, or knows somebody who passed away or got, their illness got worse because insurance fucked around with their claim, or know someone who went bankrupt or drowned in medical debt. That is something that everybody knows someone or experienced themselves. So
it's not partisan. Debt is not partisan.
That's not cultural either.
No.
And I don't, I missed that point. Like, I think we all did, like, not realizing how healthcare is not partisan. And I think it was the topic that we needed, but not like, also not, people don't like catchphrases like Medicare for all. Like, it has to be less scary, because the fact we have to live in the world that we live in, not the world we wish we lived in. And we have to live in the world we live in so we can make it the one we wish it was. So the reality is that most Americans are center right, and to get them to not freak the fuck out over like the idea of universal health care, it has to be very carefully messaged, not just some random phrase Elizabeth Warren blurted out.
I'll always agree with Tony Michael's messaging where he says you don't want to go broke from a medical bill. That is the most, I would say, across the board, everybody can relate to it. And I don't know. It's everybody knows what it's like to open their mailbox.
Studies have been done. It's been shown that you would pay about a quarter of the amount you currently pay for the equivalent level of healthcare with a single payer system and a private option.
Yeah, so what's so scary about the term Medicare for all? I don't get that. Because Medicare is one of the most efficient systems we have. So
you have a system, it just needs to be expanded.
Normal health insurance companies, they only give out as claims 80% of what they take in. And that's the number because it's required by law. Right? Do you know what it is for Medicare? It's 97%. Yeah. They are way more efficient in dispersing money for medical claims.
But that's not how it's perceived.
Yeah,
we know that.
we should be using the term guaranteed care. And again, Tony Michaels brought this up this morning. There are multiple terms we've used in the past when we talked about Obamacare, and specifically that term is sometimes it becomes political, and then people just will not follow it no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it like, you know, we can figure that out, but a lot of people don't want to figure that out, and a lot of times, a lot of people to this day, how long ago was Obamacare passed? What, like
12,
been like almost 15 years?
So 12 years. I
Yeah,
think.
so like.
It was 13.
So
12 or 13.
Like, people don't know that Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act, and a lot of people don't realize that, you know, especially Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they don't realize that if they're 22 and still on their parents' insurance, Obamacare is the reason they are. So, like, you know, I think when it comes to, you know, there's this huge socialism fear that the Republicans like brilliantly used, and obviously Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, that's all socialist programs, but it's not perceived that way. So, you know, I guess what you just have to be very strategic in what you call it, and calling it Medicare for all reeks of socialism to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's so many people that they can't truly define the word socialism, or they have no problem driving on roads. But yeah, you know, when you tell them you have the chance to, you know, not only you can have medical care, but also so can the rest of the country, so that we don't perish as a society due to people. I was going to say people who need their insurance claims adjusted by Luigi.
That's such a terrible nickname, but it's funny. It's delicious.
But I mean, left and right. I think now that the election is over and Trump is literally saying things like, I can't bring down the prices that I promised that I would bring down, but instead I'm going to put a bunch of billionaires in here and like do Project 2025 that I said I had nothing to do with. I'm feeling like, because not only this CEO business cuts across both lines, but also, you know, there's a faction of MAGA that isn't the cult that's like, we got duped.
For the same reason that 3-Card Monty and Carnival games will work.
He's not even in office yet, and our messaging is working, pointing out, yeah, he's not gonna do anything to change the costs, because they're trying to sane wash everything that he says already, including putting him on time.
Does he have to? He doesn't have to either. He doesn't have to do anything.
They're going to ask him what his concepts are. He's not going to have any concepts. And
he never will have concepts.
He doesn't have to be anything other than what he wants to be and what the puppetry machine orchestrates around him.
The man doesn't even have concepts of a different dinner other than McDonald's, or like an overdone steak with ketchup.
I had it for lunch, so
you cannot replace a program that has given countless Americans the ability to have health care with a dream of an idea of health care. That doesn't work.
It's not better.
You can't go and make an appointment and they say, can we see your health insurance? And you go, are you accepting this concept that Trump has? Because that's all I got right now. I'm working with concepts.
I'm going to have to try that next time I go to the doctor's office. No, I have concepts of health insurance. They asked him this weekend what his concepts of plans were, and he had none. So
that was a real cringe interview. Like, I can't stand to like hear his voice. Like, I had to turn it off. Like, I just can't. I'm not there yet.
Fuck.
So, you know what Luigi should do is say he's running for president so that they can't try him.
Can't charge him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
Everyone should try that shit now.
another way that this cuts across everyone in America, one of the top searches on Amazon this week was a Luigi hat.
Yeah, it's like the Luigi hat is our Times Anonymous mask.
Yeah, Luigi
Oh my
hat
God.
from the Guy Fawkes mask.
I have an idea. Okay. If you are listening and you are in the DMV, if you are in the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area, please come to his inauguration and please wear your Luigi hat. Please throw out turtle shells and bananas. Do whatever you need to do.
If you happen to find a star, don't let Secret Service know.
Yeah. Well, be careful though, because some woman in Florida was arrested.
Yeah.
Because she got into an argument with her health insurance, and she said defend. Deny.
Yeah, she said the 3 Ds.
Okay, but to be fair, Florida is like the laboratory for fascism.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what DeSantis did to that.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So
it is.
Florida and Texas.
It is Florida, but still, and I think going forward, I'm just going over the comments that I had posted on the Substack, and it's like what Ben Shapiro did, and I know there was a bunch of commentators that
Matt Walsh he got cooked too.
I could not listen to his. I couldn't listen to his shit. I listened to Ben Shapiro's podcast in its entirety for 50 minutes, and my ears are still bleeding. And but I don't know why I became so obsessed with just understanding how did these people turn what I got to hear it for myself, because I'm an audio person. I need to hear it. So it's just the levels of condescension and the levels that he thought his audience was that stupid. The first 10 minutes of his rant was basically the comments that I put in the Substack. There's many, many more. I just took a handful of samplings, but or talking about how this isn't actual tyranny, and health insurance companies, they cover some things and some things they don't, and too bad, so sad, you got to deal with it. And and then I would say from minute 12 onward was about how this response is a scary precursor to a Marxist socialist revolution. And he goes on comparing these historical events from the 70s. Sorry, Vix, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sorry. These are the same people that a few weeks ago were going, you know what? Trump's idea of a purge, just a really violent hour, when he first comes in the office. What a great idea. Same people saying now.
Yeah.
It
fucking morons.
Boggles the mind.
This is slightly off topic, but while I was listening to his rant, I clipped this one clip very specifically because I've heard Ben Shapiro go on a rant on how the United States is not a democracy. And you know what he called America 3 times in the rant? This is not how you act in a democracy. This is not how you act in a democratic system. I'm like, oh, we're a democracy now.
Yeah, exactly. It's don't look for consistency, because you're not going to find any with fascists.
Oh, I know. It was just, it was like, I've listened to him. No, let me rephrase. He's gone on rants that I've listened to portions of about how upset it made him so upset because we're a constitutional republic and yada, yada, yada. And I was just like, oh, now we're a democracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when they
Now I have audio of both.
I'm curious now because they don't have to say we're a republic anymore since Trump is actually in. Can they actually start to say we're an empire? Like, can they finally just like drop the fucking mask?
Well, they called us a regime. Can we call them a regime?
Yes. I did the
Absolutely.
entire first Trump term.
As well, you should have.
It's a turd. It's the third time he's president because officially they say that he won the last election too. So it's the turd Reich.
If Amanda's listening, she needs to make a third right, the turd right, like logo. Somebody does.
It's a swastika made out of shit.
I was gonna say it's just little poop emojis in like a little swastika shape.
Yeah, I imagined a bunch of Mr. Hankies, the Christmas poo, and like or like an eagle, that really weird eagle symbol, maybe.
Snozzies.
Snozzies, yeah.
Oh my lord, how we doing out there in the chat, Tony?
We are doing great. The chat is lit today. Shout out to Shuby. Ain't seen you a while during the live show. So thanks for being in. Yeah, I know. So shout out to him. Benny is there. Amethyst, Judy, Farmley, Triple, Metal. So and Zuni is in there. So shout out to everybody. Thanks for being in the chat.
Zuni.
Hey, good to see everybody.
So many replies. Turp, you said Trumper.
Trumper. That's fantastic. You guys are so witty.
We just got to play with it. And just keep piling on. Keep mocking at every turn.
This is how we've always done it. It's always freaking worked. So, and
I have a question. Since we've slipped from the darkest timeline into like the crazier one, I move that we call it the batshit timeline.
I like to call it.
I'm really fond of it. I'm married to the term already. So.
I like to call it Why America.
Why America? Why?
No, as in Weimar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, worse, but also more accurate.
Yeah.
Ugh,
yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's Why America.
Republicans, why?
With Wi-Fi, WEIFI.
God damn it, life is pain and we will scrape the joy out of it.
For just us in the chat, some Turd Reich imagery.
Oh wait, I can't wait.
Imagery.
Let me see.
So, inside joke. Sorry, everybody.
You're going to have to come to the Discord to see the...
Discord lore.
to see the shit stickers.
Do you want me to... I'll put a link in there. I'll put a link.
Oh, you guys are so smart.
That's
shit sticker.
Oh, jeez.
There you go.
Oh, Mighty Librarian, like, what do you have against Ben Shapiro? Why do you not like Ben Shapiro's voice? What's wrong with his voice? What's wrong with Ben Shapiro's voice?
I sped up some of the clips because I didn't want it to be like take some of the longer ones. You should, if you didn't hear it last night, you should hear it like sped up, like just even. I think I sped it up 120%, and it was. Oh God, it was so funny. He sounds.
It was like a little munchkin.
Yeah, it was a little munchkin.
He sounds like a little munchkin. He's just talking about all this shit, and the lefties are always doing the thing with what the lefties are doing.
What's hilarious is how Sparks actually sounds exactly like Ben Shapiro on 1.5.
Oh yeah.
Welcome, Shuby. Welcome, Judy. It's
Exactly
been a while since you've been on. Feel free to turn your camera on and join the show.
If you'd like, yeah.
Follow the yellow brick road.
Follow the yellow brick road. I used to sing that song for people.
Because
I don't think the vaginas are supposed to be moist.
no matter what you type on the side chat, the Twitch cannot see it. So
Yeah, so we
wife
can
is
see you in
nothing
Twitch.
anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
feel
so I
free
wanted
to
bring
turn
up
your camera on and join the show.
Welcome, Judy.
How's it going?
Jude.
She's too busy laughing now. Farley says she knows Vix can agree with this, but having expensive health-related things does have cost.
Having multiple chronic illnesses like we have, it adds up. And I'm lucky that I have the VA and they pay for everything. But
one moment. Why is there just like random cameras happening right now on the live show?
Metal, you know, live on Twitch. There we go.
Christ on a cracker.
Welcome to the party, man.
Jiminy crickets.
Well, I guess if there's any other things that you'd like to cover from this, Allison?
I think that was pretty much it. Was there anything that you thought I should mention in particular that I scrolled through the article and but I think I pretty much covered the general gist and stuff like that.
I guess Shuby's camera is not going to work.
He's getting like the purple square of death.
It's for the folks playing at home. Discord have called that a throbber.
A throbber.
Yes,
There he is. Hey. Since we haven't seen him in a minute, this is for you, Shub. Here's to you.
Salud.
Been some time.
I do want to point out some of these comments that we were showing earlier. Is this isn't a left-right issue, and a lot of these comments were pointing exactly to that. Is we got to throw all of that out the window.
Yeah,
and
it's up and down. Yeah. It's up and down.
Try to make it a left and right issue, so they don't have to absorb the heat from it.
Right.
Especially when this oncoming recession hits.
And I think like we also have to, in particular, meet voters where they are. And not, I think that what the biggest mistake we made, and this is something I gleaned from Ben Shapiro's audience, was what probably set them off the worst was the level of condescension that we had. And I think a lot of it was completely unintentional, but I think we have to be mindful because all of us, and I would say a lot of the left, are pretty educated. Whether it's formally or informally or just lifelong learners, and
Curious.
A lot of these people, like, if they're not, first of all, they're not following politics to begin with, and then we're throwing out abstract concepts like Trump is a threat to democracy, and then making fun of them because they're choosing their pocketbook over democracy, which to me is absolutely absurd. But at the same time,
they've been convinced to the argument that they're choosing their pocketbook.
Yeah.
For reasons.
And so, I mean, there's so many
warfare,
factors.
bigotry, racism, etc., etc.
Sorry,
and it's not.
I don't think that it's wrong to look down on them if they're less educated or less intelligent. It was pretty fucking obvious he was a fascist. So, yeah, I'm gonna look down on them. I am smarter than them. I'm sorry.
If nothing else, he is a rapist, and that's a human thing.
I have the ability to recognize a con man.
Yeah, I don't want a rapist employed. Yeah.
But don't expect a lot of that to be productive in.
Nope. No, it has to. We got to just talk about. We just have to talk about prices. Literally, the lies, the promises that were made, the promises that he is selling you out for a cabinet full of billionaires, who he specifically tweeted, if you have $1 billion, you get any permits you want.
Yep.
I mean, the billionaire mafia, it's a thing.
Lewis,
have a
Louis
question.
DeJoy was the first iteration of him breaking the government systems from the inside.
And
Now,
we
he's got a
somehow
lot
said-
more of that in store.
Say that again?
Louis DeJoy, or Louis DeJoy, however you say his name, he was the first iteration of installing Wreck-It Ralphs on the inside of each system
Oh,
to break the government from the inside, to crash it for the donor class.
Yeah,
So
and
this is why you're seeing all the appointments that, and
He
all
was-
the nonsensical appointments are only to essentially be the red flag to the bull for the appointment they're going to put in behind them, who are far more dangerous and qualified.
well, plus they know that the left is going to take the bait and start, you know, making content
yeah,
about
that's
it.
a big one.
And then when we
Oh.
make content about it because we're upset, they make content
right.
off of us being upset. So if
then
you're
Trump
watching, if you're
doesn't
listening,
do-
just don't take the bait.
And then
It's-
Trump, like, will say something on purpose to get us all uppity and alarmed, and then he strategically won't do something to make us look like the liars. And then he'll pit the right in a similar way to get them all uppity.
Yeah.
And it's like this constant, like, back and forth. And I think, I mean, obviously the right doesn't see it, but the left, like, we kind of missed that too, because we assumed, and Trump is an idiot. He's a moron, but he knows how to read a room. And Tony made that point last night,
Now,
which was a good point. The dude reads a room.
that's not us being liars, though. That's him being a liar. Okay, that's us listening to what he says and
Strategically.
him being a liar. And this goes again back to they're too stupid to get it. We do. We're smarter than them. They
We
need to
don't
deal
buy
with it.
fucking snake
Yeah,
oil.
but we need them to not vote for him and vote for, like, you don't get voters telling people you're
think-
smarter than them, vote for me. Like,
Yeah,
it's just,
I'm
it
just in the
doesn't work.
mindset that you,
Trying to bury the lead with this, and he's trying to bring in the cheap heat. I think this other topic,
Yeah.
this other topic going around this week with the drones in New Jersey and stuff. Just a couple hours ago, his last stupid trash social post is mystery drone sightings all over the country. Why doesn't the government know anything about it? And he's just trying
Yeah.
to create he's just trying to create the chatter so you don't talk about the
And-
crap that they're doing.
Yeah, so we don't talk about the fact that he just said that he can't lower grocery prices.
And the government does know about it because who was it that just came out and said, hey, it's nothing to worry about? Which basically means it's something the U.S. government is doing, and they're just like, just don't worry about it.
I mean, if it was something nefarious, I mean, would they really be in plain sight? Like, I mean, you know, it may be nefarious, but if it's going to be harmful at the moment, I mean, I think it would have, they wouldn't be bright lights on them, you know, if they didn't want to be spotted, you know, like, I don't know. I'm just not worried about it.
Yeah, they
It'll
wouldn't
be what it
following-
is.
They wouldn't be following FAA regulations to have the lights
Yeah, that's
on.
another thing. They're following the rules. Like, I doubt, like, nefarious actors follow the fucking rules. You know, that's what makes them nefarious. Like, but yeah. So I think that's a good example. Like, don't, like, if you see something fucked up, absolutely say something and speak up about it. But don't take Trump's cheap heat. Like, that's what the left kind of screwed up on, is taking the cheap heat, and then that Trump is dishing, specifically Trump is dishing out. Like, if it's something that Trump has a policy and it directly affects, is currently affecting somebody, speak out. But like when he puts something out there, like, you know, mystery drones or whatever, chances are he's trying to distract us. He's trying to get us to freak out and then make us look stupid somehow, whether it makes us just look like we're overreacting, we're liars, we're this, we're that. And we could be completely right. The facts are typically on our side, but that doesn't matter if nobody believes it.
No. Doesn't matter if you've got a whole ecosystem there to distract and basically keep the populace occupied so that they don't hear. Give them enough fodder so that they don't hear it, so they don't see it, so they don't know the truth is out there. and they'll keep buying the fucking snake oil. I just want to know how many people can keep paying for the snake oil despite none ever fucking arriving. It's just beyond me. Like, seriously, how can your bullshit filter be so broken?
Because the hate is more important than the result. Unfortunately.
They don't have a bullshit meter.
It's the human portion again. It's the emotion. It's
this is where we are really the discerning, like, what's the bullshit angle, is because when you actually do find whatever the crazies on their side are spewing, like Alex Jones right now, he's not talking about the CEO getting shot. He's talking about the drones. They're directly directing the narrative.
They always need to go for the conspiracy theory, because if that conspiracy theory doesn't pan out, it's because of another conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
it's not even that. They're being paid by Russia and places
I mean,
that. It's to keep us busy with busy work, so that the oligarchs can play at King of the World shit while they burn our planet to the ground. Metaphor.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get on their penis rockets and leave us with, suffocating to death.
It's like the Elysium movie. I swear, it's amazing.
We'll use our last couple breaths to laugh at them when their rockets blow up in the air.
Like Interstellar.
Yeah,
Except they they actually find a new home in space and figure out the gravity problem and.
Well, there's definitely going to be interesting times ahead of us, and I do know that if we just keep the messaging going, that it's not right versus left, it's up versus down, then I think by the time that the congressional elections come around, they're no longer midterms, everybody, they're congressional elections. By the time the congressional elections comes around, hopefully this messaging will have taken hold, and they've switched out some leadership in the Democratic Party, and we can actually see some gains.
2026, as long as we can get to that election, that's the year the Senate elections are in our favor. John Ossoff's seat in Georgia is up, but if Trump gives a particular brand of crazy when Brian Kemp runs, that isn't a thing yet. I just suspect that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
I think he could beat him. So.
Well, especially if we don't see any prices coming down. Because, as everybody knows, #MAGAflation. That being said, we'll see you crazy kids later. Thank you so much for coming to episode 32, Dive Bar Democracy. If you give a good goddamn about your democracy, make sure that you catch the Tony Michaels podcast every single week. And with that being said, we'll see you crazy kids later.
Later, guys.
Mm-hmm.